Did you know that a very small problem destroyed Africa in the past and is destroying Africa up until now? That despite how glorious Africa have been, we can't seem to see the glory of Africa in anything because of this one thing. This is something which I could call sad, that I actually have to speak about something going on wrong century in one continent. And despite it being a problem that so many other continents have suffered with in times, the thing which sounds strange is how in time they've been able to fix it. And don't worry, it's not stuff like corruption or love of power and so many other stuff that we always accuse to be the reason why Africa is not growing. Let's take two cases. We have the empire of Mali, being known for being so rich that even up until now we usually claim that the most richest guy who ever lived is coming from Mali, but yet somehow that's the richest person to ever be rich than even rich people today, centuries back. His kingdom is nowhere to be found on the map today of rich people. Let's take another case. We have Egypt, having some of the most fascinating arts and history and writings and science and so many other things. But today we can't seem to see Egypt on the map of the big people in terms of science and so many other things. How do you suddenly come from being the great in the world to be literally nowhere to be found? Not even half of the list, like really way below. Now, let me show you something which is a little bit different with how these kingdoms, these two places, Mali and Egypt, had a similar game which brought them to be really down, that they could literally disappear out of the map in certain aspects. When we speak of Mali today, we mostly speak also of the glory of one king, Mansa Musa, and how his pilgrimage would have so much money that he would leave money in so many other places and even create inflation by his money. The same way when we speak of Egypt, there is no way you can speak of Egypt without mentioning the pharaoh. So these pharaohs being a group of some elites who had to create this specific glory around Egypt. Even the history that we know today of how powerful Egypt is around the palace of the pharaoh, the tomb of the pharaoh, and that is where the issue counts. Today there is the history of Greece, but there is so much that we know also about the population of Greece than only the high class or the elite of Greece. I'm not saying that Greece is the most perfect in the history, but remind you that a society that focuses only on the group of elites who unfortunately end up becoming so selfish to their benefit only that everything that has to be good in the kingdom that has to work is only for the reason of pleasing the elite. And watching until today, the only thing killing so many African countries is when leaders work only to satisfy themselves. There is nothing to win for the everybody, and everything has to turn only around a small group of people. The problem happens is that everybody wants to be part of that group of elites, so therefore they have to do every wrong thing possible in order to be there. That the richest among the countries, unfortunately, are literally political leaders. Why are entrepreneurs that they can't also be rich, or like what's really happening here? And thank you so much for being here. Catch you next time.